Yo, what's good? I ain't even gonna do like a real intro like that. I'm gonna get right into this video. All I'm gonna say is like the video. This video is gonna be fire. Subscribe if you're new because I'm bringing some information that is really important. So we're gonna talk about this Egyptian myth, right? You know, it's the Osiris resurrection myth, but it is a myth. It's not like an actual historical story, but it's a it's a really good story that teaches certain principles about your soul and your ego and how your ego kind of destroys your soul, and then how your soul kind of gets reborn through your own spiritual wisdom, which will give birth to the higher self. And this is not my interpretation. This is not my opinion. This is literally stuff you could read if you just study Egyptian text. You know, there's actually a guy named Dr. Muada Ashby. He's like a modern day Egyptian priest. Read his books. Read a book, you know, because a lot of people be like saying their opinions and they think that the deities are like actual beings, but they're not. And I made several videos about what gods and goddesses actually are. And some people still don't get it, you know, but inside this video, when I share this myth, you're going to really understand some really necessary spiritual principles. So I want to say this one thing real quick, right? Because I'm gonna talk about the main characters, what they represent, and then give the actual story and the meaning of the story, along with the answer to the question of how your ego destroys your soul, and then the lessons that can be learned from the story. So the video is probably gonna be a little bit long, but it is worth it. And I do want to state that with the Egyptian gods and goddesses, right? These are not actual beings. These are symbolic and personified aspects of yourself and of creation, because when you like for example, you have Osiris slash Asar, because the Egyptian name's Asar, but Osiris is the Greek name. Anyway, that deity represents your soul. Now, your soul, you can't like really see your soul, right? But when you like personify it, right, and then tell a story about it, it helps you to relate more to your soul to understand it on a deeper level. You see what I'm saying? That's why they did these things. The deity system is actually like a very intelligent system, because there's many parts of yourself that you can't see your intelligence. You can't see your willpower. But there's different deities for that. You have Thoth and Hathor, aka the Judy, and Het Heru. That's your intelligence and your willpower. And there's a myth between those two which show you how your intelligence and willpower interact. I just made a video about it, you know what I'm saying? Like way back in the past, back when I was recording inside my shed and stuff like that. But yeah, they're not actual beings. If you think that because you worked with the deities, there's entities that will say like I'm a deity. I mean, it's actually true. And that's why I don't like the Greek names, because when they started calling like Asar Osiris and they started calling Aset Isis, those Greek names would oftentimes be heavily attached to entities. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to I'm sorry, I'm gonna get into the video, but I gotta just preface this with a few things so you can understand the story a bit more and how the system actually worked. But when it came to ancient Greece and ancient Rome, the deities there are also symbolic too. Like that's why like the Greek gods, when you look at them in Rome, they're associated with planets because you're not actual beings. Granted, I don't like to study that Greek stuff though, because I mean Greece is weird, bro. They was doing some weird stuff there. And they started doing weird stuff inside Egypt too. Like as Egypt was falling, it started getting really weird. Like the original Egypt, you know, I love it. You know what I'm saying? Kemet, I love it. But when it started like falling because the people in Egypt forgot what the deities actually were. Because like I said, ancient priests and priestesses already wrote down what they actually are. They tell us this inside their text. But over time, people kind of forgot about that and started worshiping entities who would say, "Oh, I'm Osiris. Worship me and sacrifice humans to me." You know what I'm saying? Dumb stuff. Anyway, let's get into the video, right? Like the video is gonna be. Don't be stingy on the likes. Don't do that. You want more videos from me? Support your boy. I'll have more incentive. You know what I'm saying? And your incentive is the fact that I make good videos that are actually, you know, I actually educate myself. I don't just hear stuff and just go with it. I educated myself and read what the priest actually wrote down about it. Anyway, the main characters of the myth, right? Now, there's more characters, but the main ones we're going to talk about is Asar, which is Osiris, Aset, which is Isis, and then you just have Set, which is Set, or they may call Set Typhon sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Then you have Nebuchadnezzar or Nephthys, this, you have Heru, which is Horus, and Anpu, which is Anubis, right? Now, here's what they represent. Asar is your soul. Aset is your spiritual awareness and your soul's wisdom. Set is your ego. Nebathet is physical awareness, pleasure, and death. Heru is your higher self. Anpu is discernment. So let's get into the story, right? So let's set a few bases. So Asar and Aset are married, right? Osiris and Isis are married. Now, they're also brother and sister too. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, it's not like an actual story where your brother and sister are sleeping together. No. You know what I'm saying? It's symbolic. It means something. Because when them being married shows the unification between these two, how they're just two halves of the same thing, which I'm going to talk about later when it comes to what this stuff even means. You know what I'm saying? But they are brother and sister. Anyway, let's get into it, right? Let me just say like a couple like of the relationships that how let me talk about how the beings are related, what the story was, and I'm also going to explain the meaning of what all that means. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, Osiris and Isis, aka Asar and Set, are married. Now, Set and Nebathet are also married too. Now, Asar and Set are brothers, and Aset and Nebathet are twin sisters. Now, one day, Osiris slash Asar got very drunk, and then he ended up sleeping with Nebathet, right? He's married to Isis, but he slept with Nebathet. But that's because he couldn't tell the difference. Like, he was so drunk that he didn't realize that Nebathet wasn't his wife, Aset slash Isis. You know what I'm saying? Because they're twins. On top of that, Nebathet always had a certain love for Osiris, right? And the reason why is because, I'm going to get to that later. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I didn't really write it down, so I hope I don't forget that, because some stuff I didn't write down that I'm thinking about right now. But I'll get to that later. I won't forget. But yeah, Nebathet actually was very fond of Osiris. You know what I'm saying? So she was with it, And he kind of got finessed a little bit, because she could have said, yo, I'm not your wife. But that's not the point of the story. It's not a real story. You know what I'm saying? It's trying to teach you something. But yeah, long story short, Osiris got super drunk and then slept with Nebathet because he couldn't tell the difference, right? Because of how drunk he was. Now, them having intercourse together actually led to Anubis slash Anpu being born. Like, Anubis is the child of Asar and Nebathet slash Osiris and Nebathet. You know what I'm saying? Now, because Osiris, I'm going to just say the Greek names for general people's understanding, but I don't like the Greek names at all. But I'll just say it that's how most people know the deities as. So, because of this, right? Because Osiris slept with Nebathet, which is Set's wife, Set ended up killing Osiris by cutting him up into multiple pieces. Now, after this, at some point, you have Isis, who decided to find she found all the pieces besides his phallus, aka his the organ that you have intercourse with. She couldn't find that. You know what I'm saying? I want to say because YouTube be a little bit weird, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? The poker stick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, she couldn't find that. You know what I'm saying? But she found the other pieces and put his body back together. Now, at some point, Osiris and Isis had some form of a spiritual intercourse. There is one story where she replaced his, with a wooden one. But inside other stories, there is no wooden phallus. It's just it's some type of spiritual intercourse. You know what I'm saying? And when they did this, that led to the birth of Horus, right? It's pretty much, it's like a virgin birth. You know what I'm saying? Because that wasn't a true intercourse, But yeah, anyway, that led to the birth of Horus. And it also led to Osiris being resurrected, becoming king of the underworld, who looks over the weighing of the heart ceremony. Now, eventually, Horus has to grow up, and he gets taught by his mother Isis. And the more and more he learns, at some point, he becomes strong enough to take on Set, right? And then he pretty much redeems his father. And he takes back over the land of Egypt, which was ruled by Set. So Horus grows up to fight. Horus grows up to fight Set, beats him, redeems his father, and takes back over the land of Egypt, because when Osiris died, he was king of Egypt, but because he died, his brother Set took over, and he had Egypt inside of all kinds of chaos. I should have also included this too. There was one point where Horus did lose his eye. I think like it was like I think it was like when he was like trying to first fight. When he was trying to first fight Set, he lost his eye, and then his wife Hathor is the one that helped to heal his eye. You know what I'm saying? Which is symbolic also. But what does all this mean? So let's start off at the beginning, right? Osiris and Isis being married. Osiris is your soul. Isis is your spiritual awareness and your soul's wisdom. What it's saying is the fact that your soul is one with your spiritual awareness and its wisdom. You know what I'm saying? That's all it means, right? That's why they're married, because it's two, like you have your soul, then it's actual wisdom. You have your soul and its awareness, its spiritual awareness. You know what I'm saying? These two are one together, right? And then also, Set and Nebuchadnezzar are married because your ego is one with your physical awareness and your mortal awareness. You know what I'm saying? Your character is one with how, so your spiritual perception is linked to your soul. Your ego's perception is linked to the physical world. You know what I'm saying? Now, the reason why Osiris and Set are brothers is because your ego and your soul are just different aspects of the same thing. Because technically your ego is an aspect of your soul, because your ego is what? Your ego is just your character. You know what I'm saying? Really, it's like, so it's really just your character, but it's also the attachment to that character. But let's just see it as a character, right? Your ego is just your character. Your character is generated from your soul, because your soul is an individualized focal point of awareness that's able to observe various different things, including itself. And as it observes things, it gains its own intelligence. And from this intelligence and information, it forms a personality. You see what I'm saying? So your ego and your soul are just two halves of the same thing, literally, you know? That's why they're brothers, right? And then also, Set and Nebuchadnezzar, Isis and Nebuchadnezzar are sisters. In fact, they're twin sisters, and there's a reason for that. So pretty much, they're twins because they're sisters because physical awareness and spiritual awareness are two halves of the same whole. They're two different kinds of awarenesses, but they're both linked together. And they're twins due to the fact that your spiritual awareness can seem like your physical awareness, right? And they're two sides of the same coin. So there's like spiritual pleasure, right? But there's also physical pleasure. If you're not discerning, right? And that's important to be discerning. We're going to see about that when it comes to Anubis. If you're not discerning, you can't tell the difference. Like, you'll think that this physical pleasure is the same as like your spiritual pleasure. You see what I'm saying? Or you'll think that the illusions that you're seeing is the same as like the spiritual nature of things. Like, for example, there's people who like, for example, they may take psychedelics, right? And then, especially, I know, I forgot. I think, because I remember Ryan Cropper mentioned that. I think it was ayahuasca is very open to showing you what you want to see and not like the actual truth of things. Ayahuasca is still valid, but like with certain psychedelics, right, they're more likely to just show you what you want to see. I mean, they can happen with any psychedelic. It could happen with wine or weed. You know what I'm saying? And you could like be super convinced. Like, you may even like ask like, yo, you may be like off a shroom, and like you seeing certain stuff. You're like, yo, bro, is this true? And you're like, yeah, it's true. And that could just be your brain talking to you. Now, it could be a spirit guide also. Like, I'm not trying to say that people just be fantasizing, but what I'm saying is, right, the fantasies that you may see off of psychedelics or even inside meditation sometimes, right? Those fantasies could seem like it's coming from like the spiritual reality, but it's just coming from your own ego. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to tell the difference without discernment. Now, because I just want to, this actually ties into like a story inside the Bible, Ezekiel's vision, because Ezekiel's vision is actually very deep, because he actually kind of teaches how to prophesize. He mentions the storm, he mentions the cloud, and he mentions the fire. The storm is your thoughts that you have to calm down. Once you calm down your thoughts, you get to the cloud. Now the cloud is a symbol of like you're able to see like minor visions, but it's kind of like cloudy. Literally, it's kind of cloudy because you haven't fully went beyond your fanatical mind, the part of your mind that likes to fantasize with inside your imagination, because your imagination is a faculty of your mind that perceives information as imagery, but your ability to fantasize could cloud the images that you receive. You see what I'm saying? Now, once you get past the cloud, you get to the fire. The fire is a symbol of purifying yourself, because once you're fully purified, you could get the true vision from the Most High. So it's like that with all spiritual information. It's different steps. You got to calm down your mind. You have to clear up the cloudy vision, and you have to purify yourself to see the true vision and information which is trying to come to you. You see what I'm saying? You can only do that with discernment. But when you don't have that discernment, the spiritual images and the spiritual information and the spiritual pleasures could seem like the physical information, physical vision, and physical pleasures that come from the ego. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful. That's why they're twin sisters, because they could seem very similar, literally, right? Now, and let me say this too. You know what? Because at the end of the meaning of certain stuff, I'm gonna also break down why the deities look how they look. But yeah, because once again, the deities look how they look because it's all symbolism. You know what I'm saying? Like Horus has a bird head for a certain reason, mainly because it's like the head of a hawk, and hawks can fly inside the air, right? Because Horus is your higher self, right? So your higher self could see above the physical reality, and it has a good eye. You know what I'm saying? Hawks have amazing vision. It could properly see the truth. Your higher self could properly see the truth. That's why it's my fault. I'm about to start, you know what I'm saying? I'm cursing and stuff because I'm getting a little bit I'm thinking back on people who think that Horus is like an actual person. And it's like, oh yeah, he's a bird avian being. No, he's not. It's a bird head because it's symbolism. You know what I'm saying? Birds fly, right? He has a higher perspective. And also that the hawk has a good vision. He could easily see the truth, literally. Which a lot of people can't easily see the truth. Gap, they caught up inside. And that's another example too. The reason why people confuse deities as actual beings is because they haven't discerned between Isis and Nebuchadnezzar. Spiritual versus physical. They just see they just see the deity like, oh, the bird guy. Yeah, that's a person. That's their physical awareness. And it seems like, oh yeah, that's the spiritual thing. No. With true spiritual awareness, you would go beyond the image and actually understand what it's trying to say. That's why when it comes to whether it's Egypt or India, inside all their texts, they tell you to go beyond the image because the image is symbolic and it helps your mind to understand certain concepts. But to get into your true spiritual awareness and your consciousness, you got to go beyond that because your intellect is so limiting. You know what I'm saying? Like the symbol in the image is for like your intellectual, logical mind. But to truly understand it and unify with the concept, you have to use your consciousness, you have to use your soul and go beyond the image that you're seeing. And that's true spiritual awareness, which people confuse for the physical awareness of just seeing the being like, oh, it's a being. So yeah, that's why they're twin sisters. Okay, but let's carry on with the story. So, all right. So you know how I said that Osiris got drunk and then he slept with Nebuchadnezzar because he couldn't tell the difference, right? So pretty much when the soul, right, is intoxicated by physical reality, it mixes with physical awareness, physical pleasure, and it mixes with death also, whether it's a spiritual death or like a physical death. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, Nebuchadnezzar represents, right? Because even with the symbol of her headdress, right? So if you look at a picture of Isis, right? She has a throne on her head. Nebuchadnezzar has the same throne, but it's upside down, right? Now, Nebuchadnezzar means like the mistress of the house. And I think Aset means like the throne, which is why like, she has the throne on her head. And that throne, right? The reason why that has it is because Osiris is supposed to sit inside that throne. Your soul is supposed to be sitting inside spiritual awareness and be rooted inside spiritual awareness. Now, Nebuchadnezzar means mistress of the house because the house is the whole physical reality, right? So everything you see is Nebuchadnezzar because technically when you see this remote, it don't actually look like this. It only look like this with physical awareness. You know what I'm saying? But if you have like a more spiritual awareness, it kind of goes beyond that. Like this is just light particles vibrating. You know what I'm saying? But you see it as a remote. That's your physical awareness. So if you're like so caught up in like what you see, you may not realize that, like, for example, with certain people. I actually had somebody tell me this literally yesterday. They were like, yo, bro, the way that you don't look like you're gonna say what you're gonna say. Like, I guess I look like a YN, you know what I'm saying? But I talk like a smart person, and it's like, whoa, what the heck? So my looks could be deceiving. With physical awareness, you might think that, oh, this guy's a YN. He gonna pull up the Glock with the sitch and blast you. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I got my hair in a bun right now, but maybe with my dreads out, it's like more like YN-ish, right? But like with spiritual awareness, you kind of go like, oh, this guy's actually spiritually in tune. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying this because the throne on her headdress, right? The throne on Isis's head is pretty much the throne that your soul, that Osiris sits inside of, because your soul is supposed to always be sitting inside of and be rooted inside spiritual awareness. And then from that throne, you see the whole entire world. You see all this Nebuchadnezzarian imagery. You see stuff in the physical, right? But if you're rooted and you're inside the throne, you can perceive beyond the physical. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying this because Nebuchadnezzar is also a symbol of everything that you see in the physical. So that's why I said, well, that's not even me that's saying this. I read this when I just read the fucking Egyptian text. They told you what this stuff means, right? It's a symbol of the soul being intoxicated, like Osiris getting drunk and then sleeping with Nebuchadnezzar. You know what I'm saying? It's a symbol of Osiris being intoxicated, or it's a symbol of your soul being intoxicated by physical awareness. You see all these things, right? And you're like, oh, this is like the real thing. Like I said, Isis and Nebuchadnezzar are twin sisters. He couldn't tell the difference because he's like, oh yeah, you look like Isis, so you must be Isis. But with like a higher awareness, it's like, oh no, you're not Isis. Like, y'all act completely different. Y'all have two different spirits. Y'all two different souls, different spirits, all that. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, when it comes to us, right? When we stop being rooted in that spiritual awareness, when we hop out the throne, we could be intoxicated by how things look and the pleasure that we feel. And the more that happens, we begin to become one with our physical awareness and not our spiritual awareness. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and then when you do that, you know what I'm saying, you could also okay, actually, I'm about to get ahead. So remember how, okay, so like I said, yeah, the soul becomes intoxicated with physical reality, and the more it does that, it becomes one with physical awareness, physical pleasure, and also death, spiritual death, and it can also be a physical death, you know what I'm saying, depending on how far you go when it comes to certain stuff, right? Like if you start to like overeat, and then you never stop overeating, you get morbidly obese, you might literally physically die because you were so intoxicated by physical reality and the pleasure of food. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, after Osiris, right, and Nebuchadnezzar slept together, that led to the birth of Anubis. Now, what does this mean? It means that after getting involved with physical reality and pretty much like falling victim to physical reality, it leads you to building discernment, because now you're aware of the toxic nature of the physical, and you have to be more on point to discern between the physical and the spiritual. So it's like the same with us, right? Like if you're like for example, if you did not have a physical body, right? You just had your soul. It wouldn't really be hard to tell like what's of the spirit and what's of the physical, because like when you're like fully inside your soul's awareness, you already know that, oh yeah, the spiritual stuff is this. But when your soul mixes with your physical body, now you have a dual awareness of spiritual awareness and physical awareness. You know what I'm saying? And because your soul got mixed with the physical being your body, it led to the need for discernment. Now you need discernment. When you're just like a pure soul, you don't need discernment. All you have is spiritual awareness. You know what I'm saying? But the same way that Osiris slept with Nebuchadnezzar, right? The same way that your soul mixes with physical reality, that's a symbol of how your soul when it mixes with the physical via this human body, it leads to the birth of needing discernment to discern between what's of the physical and what's of the spiritual. So that's what that represents, right? Now, here's the part when it comes to like Set unaliving his brother, right? So what this means is that when your soul mixes with physical reality, it's possible to fall into ego, and then your ego disintegrates your soul and splits it apart. And you have a split awareness. So, like I said, your soul is an individualized focal point of awareness, right? When you're fully in tune with your spiritual awareness, you're good. You already understand like why stuff happens. You understand like what's of the spiritual. But when you start falling victim to the physical, you get more inside your ego, and then that kind of pretty much splits up your soul. You know what I'm saying? It could kind of fragment your soul because like one day you'll be like, oh yeah, I want to just do all kinds of physical pleasure stuff, right? But then like inside yourself you may feel like, that's a little bit wrong. Like, you know what? Let me just say it like this. There's people and every day like there's I know several different spiritual people, right, who have ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they're like really inside the physical and doing stuff, and it's not bad to be in the physical. It's only bad if you're like attached to it and you're caught up inside illusion, right? When you're caught up inside of illusion, your awareness is split in so many places. Like you'll have like your higher self telling you something, you'll have uh misleading entities telling you something, and you don't know what to really observe and what to look at because your awareness is split because you're so caught up inside the ego. That's why Set cut up Osiris, because it splits apart your awareness. Now you're being pulled all over the place. You're not rooted inside you're not sitting on the throne. You're not rooted inside your spiritual awareness. Therefore, you're just pulled everywhere. Oh, this physical thing. Oh, that physical. You're split. Your awareness is split. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Now, when it comes to Isis putting Osiris's body back together, right? What that's saying is to put your soul back together, to reintegrate yourself, you must return to your spiritual awareness and your soul's wisdom. You must sit back on that throne. You must be rooted inside the spiritual awareness, and now you're back whole again. You're like, oh yeah, that's the spiritual, and I know that, and I'm focused, one pointed. When you're caught up beside the physical, you're just split, and you could get carried away. But you could be carried away by many different things, right? When you're inside the spiritual awareness, you're rooted. You're not carried away by everything. You're rooted. You know what I'm saying? That's why Isis put together Osiris. It's a symbolism of how your spiritual awareness will re-put together your soul and put you back in tune with your soul, right? And now for the part about pretty much Isis and Osiris having like a spiritual intercourse, which leads to the birth of Horus, and also allows Osiris to become resurrected within inside the spiritual, or within inside the underworld, and proceed over the weighing of the heart ceremony. And I just remembered this too. I was supposed to talk about why Nebuchadnezzar is so attracted to Osiris. So inside the physical world, right, you have a soul. The physical reality kind of has a certain love for your soul. And here's what I mean, right? You notice how like when it comes to like physical pleasure and stuff like that, it's like pretty much temptation. You know what I'm saying? Temptation. That's like Nebuchadnezzar being like, oh, Osiris, you look so good. Because the physical reality wants your soul to mix with it. You know what I'm saying? It wants to pull on your soul, especially because your soul, whatever you observe, you feed energy towards. You know what I'm saying? Your soul has a very powerful energy. And when you're mixing it with the physical, you're literally feeding that thing, and it keeps it alive. So like, for example, certain realities, right? You could live a spiritual lifestyle. And when I say that, don't mean like you're inside the mountains or you're just so detached from the physical. No, you could be working a job, having a family, but still be spiritual, have a spiritual lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? But you could also have a lifestyle that's ran by ego, right? That lifestyle is kind of drawn to you, and it wants you to keep observing it and feeding it its energy. once you stop observing that, right, that reality kind of dies off. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like you have one reality of like partying every day, and you know what I'm saying, taking a whole bunch of drugs for no reason, and having a whole bunch of intercourse with random people, and just all eating a whole bunch of food even if it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? You have that reality, and it's gonna kind of try to pull you over because it wants you to observe it and keep it alive, literally. But when you're inside your spiritual awareness, it's like, nah, I'm doing my stuff over here and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But that's why Nebuchadnezzar actually is so drawn to Osiris, because the physical reality wants the attention of your soul. It wants the energy of your soul. That's why you get tempted inside life, because the physical reality kind of loves your soul and it wants to mix with it. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, also, like, when it comes to like being a human, it's like your body kind of wants to mix with the soul, because without the soul your body can't be alive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's always different. It's all these different reasons why Nebuchadnezzar likes Osiris, because the physical reality wants to pull on your soul and tempt your soul and get the energy and awareness from your soul and get the attention from your soul. All right, so with that being said, right, but what does it mean when it comes to Osiris and Isis having like a spiritual intercourse, and then you get Horus and Osiris becomes king of the underworld and proceeds over the wing of the heart ceremony? So what this means, right? It means that after you reunify to your spiritual awareness, right, which isn't lustful, like physical intercourse based upon pleasure. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's like a spiritual intercourse, because when you unify with your spiritual awareness, it can have like a certain spiritual pleasure to it, but it's not like the same like lustful pleasure that comes from mixing with the physical, right? Like when you get lustful, you get horny, or you start like craving bad food and stuff like that, right? It's this like very like desire, like I need that, I want to mix with it. It's very lustful and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to your spiritual awareness, it's more like, yeah, I'm approaching it, I'm mixing with it, oh, I'm at peace. Yeah, it's not like, oh, I need to, I want to, you get on, the energy is more like, oh, yeah, I want to, not like, I need to, yeah, yeah. That's why it's not like, that's why Osiris, they couldn't find his organ for intercourse. It also is it's also a symbol of channeling your sexual energy, right? It's also a symbol of like you know, like holding your seed, but not just holding your seed, but also just like holding that energy and like building it up and channeling it up. You know what I'm saying? Because when you let go, because I'm not saying it's bad to have intercourse, you know what I'm saying? It's just if you're doing it in like a very lustful way or to sleep with anybody, it's different, you know what I'm saying? But when you like get over those urges, right? When you overcome those urges, it's easier to focus on spiritual things. You know what I'm saying? That's why he also lost his organ, his intercourse organ too. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, yeah. So long story short, right? When you reunify, when your soul begins to reunify with spiritual awareness, which once again is not lustful, like physical intercourse that's based upon pleasure, you give birth to the higher self. Also, so that's the birth of Horus, right? When you're in tune with spiritual awareness, you give birth to your higher self, right? But there's also a symbol of pretty much your soul, right? Because when it comes to Osiris being resurrected as king of the underworld, looking over the wing of the heart ceremony, right? Your soul, right? Once it reunifies the spiritual awareness, your soul is now able to judge your true intentions and if you're really acting from spiritual or physical awareness. Because the weighing of the heart ceremony, right, is a ceremony where they would say that after death, right, they would weigh your heart next to a feather. And if your heart is as light as a feather, you could like move on. Now, if your heart is not as light as a feather and the feather is heavier, you gotta if your heart is heavier than the feather, then like you get you get fed to, I think, emit, and like your soul gets destroyed or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But long story short, it's pretty much a symbol of like, because like your heart is also a symbol of your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's also symbol like your true intention and like what you're truly in tune with. You know what I'm saying? When your soul is in tune with spiritual awareness, you can easily observe your own mind and observe your heart. and recognize what's inside there and not get caught up inside of certain desires. You just recognize it for what it is and kind of just get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? That's why it becomes king of the underworld and stuff like that and proceeds over that ceremony. You see what I'm saying? Now, when it came to Horus having to grow up and stuff like that, right? So Horus always got taught by his mother growing up. That's a symbol of the fact that your higher self, in order to grow your higher self more and more and more and more and more, you need to stay in tune with your spiritual awareness, right? Now, at some point, at some point, Horus got into a battle with Set and got his eye taken out, right? And there's a reason why. I think he got like too emotional or something like that. But the symbol is the fact that and then his heart got and then his heart got fixed by his wife Hathor. Now Hathor represents divine willpower, right? So it's pretty much the willpower of your higher self. It's like divine will, you know what I'm saying? Following, like having divine actions, following the divine plan, right? So when Horus was trying to fight Set off of just like being angry and like being mad, it's like Horus got caught up inside his ego, then he got his eye taken out and couldn't fully see the truth. That's what his eye getting taken out means. He can't fully see the truth of what's happening. But he gets his heart taken care of by his wife Hathor. He gets his heart taken care of by divine willpower. And by the way, Hathor is his wife because your higher self is one with divine willpower. When you're acting from your higher self, you're always acting in tune with the divine. You're always acting from divine will. So with that being said, when his wife fixed his eye, it's saying that when you're in tune with divine will, you're gonna clearly see what you should do. But when you're not in tune with divine will, your ego can make you pretty much not be able to see the truth. You see what I'm saying? That's why Set ripped out his eye. In one story, Set threw dirt in his eye or something like that. There's different variations that have different kinds of meanings and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same overall meaning about how you can't fully see the truth from your higher self if you're not acting out of divine willpower. You know what I'm saying? So when you're not acting out of divine willpower, your ego will make you not see the full truth. When you get back in tune with divine will, you're gonna see the truth of what you should do, when to do it, how to do it, all that. You know what I'm saying? Now, at some point, Horus came back, and then he fought Set, and then he won, which pretty much means that when you're fully in tune with your higher self and divine willpower, you're pretty much able to overcome your ego and take back control of your life. Because pretty much Osiris being king of Egypt is a symbol of your soul being the king of your life. Now, when he died and then Set became king, that's a symbol of when your ego, when your soul's awareness falls, you get back in tune with the ego. Your ego now rules your life, and when that happened, it was complete chaos. Like Egypt was inside complete chaos when Set took over. It's a symbol of how your life will be in chaos when your ego takes over. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what the whole entire story literally means. You know what I'm saying? So let's answer the question. How does, actually, let me do this too. Let me actually explain some of the stuff that how some of the deities look. So I already explained Set and Nebuchadnezzar, or Isis and Nebuchadnezzar, right, with the throne, right? I explained what that means. You know what I'm saying? Literally, Set's name means like the throne, and Nebuchadnezzar is the mistress of the house. You know what I'm saying? Now Asar, he's the soul. If you peep, he has a shepherd's crook and he has a whip. You know what I'm saying? The shepherd's crook is a symbol of how your soul is supposed to lead you inside of your life. Like the shepherd's crook leads sheep. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the symbolism, though, Osiris has the crook because your soul is supposed to lead you inside of your life. Now, the whip has two meanings. Number one, it's symbolism of how your soul can discipline you. Your soul keeps you disciplined. You know what I'm saying? But also, the whip that he has is a whip that separates chaff from seed. It's a whip that separates your soul from your physical body. You know what I'm saying? So your soul has the ability to separate your physical and spiritual awareness, and it also has the ability to separate your soul from your body, literally. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about Horus. I already mentioned that with the hawk head. You know what I'm saying? It's a hawk because it could fly in the air. It has a higher perspective. The highest, literally, Heru means that which is on high. You know what I'm saying? Horus is Heru, that which is on high. You know what I'm saying? Because it's your higher self. It's that which is on high. It has a higher perspective and it has good vision to clearly see the truth. You see what I'm saying? Hathor has like a sun headdress, right, with like the two cow horns, right, which is a symbol of so the cow was always a symbol of like fertility and stuff like that, and have like all this like divine energy and stuff like that. So was the sun. The sun is seen as like a big ball of life force. So she's divine willpower because her headdress literally shows like, yeah, like I have this amazing amount of willpower and energy, but and it's divine. You see what I'm saying? So that's why the deities look how they look. If I was on my if I was on my computer downstairs, I could have showed y'all the images. But yeah, and then let's get to Set. Set has the face of an animal that's not even real. Like they mentioned this inside the scripture. It's like it has like hippo inside of it, like aardvark. It's like the animal that Set isn't even a real animal. And what it's saying is the fact that your ego isn't even fully real like that. And this is what it literally says inside the Egyptian text, I promise you. Like, your ego is just is a compilation of bullshit, pretty much. Literally. You know what I'm saying? It's a compilation of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Literally, you know? So, yeah. And then you have Anubis, right, with the head of a jackal, because it's like dog. You know how like dogs could be like used as like guard dogs? Well, your discernment guards your soul. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's a dog. You know what I'm saying? And dogs will also be like very alert. Like they'll always be alert, and like they'll bark at an intruder. So your discernment will always be alert and discern between what's of the physical, what's of the spiritual, what's an illusion, what's reality. It's always gonna be active, trying to look between like what the fuck it actually is. It's gonna guard your soul's awareness and keep it from falling inside the ego. You see what I'm saying? So that's why Anubis is a dog. Also with Osiris too. Osiris is green because you see how like grass is green? It's a symbol of how your soul gives life to your body. Cause it's like green, the green is taken from the fact that plants which have life are green. It's like giving vegetation to your body. You know what I'm saying? Your soul gives life and helps to grow your body. You see what I'm saying? And keep it alive. You see what I'm saying? Osiris also has a form that's pitch black, and that's because when you get fully in tune with your soul, right, you become the observer, right? If you're meditating and become the observer, what do you see? You see black. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of it's a bit deeper, but that's the essential gist of why Osiris has like this really deep dark black form too. So yeah, is that all of them? I did Osiris, I mentioned Isis, I mentioned Set, I mentioned Nebuchadnezzar with the upside down joint, I mentioned Horus and Anubis and Hathor. Yeah, that you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's why they look how they look, you know what I'm saying? So let's answer the question. How does your ego destroy your soul? Your ego destroys your soul by pretty much your soul becoming intoxicated and blindly influenced by physical reality, causing you to unify with that of the physical, leading you to fall into ego, which destroys your soul's awareness. That's what the whole entire story means. And here's the lessons that are learned, right? Don't allow yourself to get caught up inside physical awareness and ego. Doing this will cause you to become unintegrated with your soul and lead to a spiritual or even a physical death. Instead, use discernment to determine if you're acting out of ego and physical awareness versus soul and spiritual awareness, especially because the physical awareness and spiritual awareness can seem so similar, and the slightest slip up inside discernment can make you act out of physical awareness even if you think it's spiritual. You know what I'm saying? That's the first lesson. So pretty much don't get caught up with the physical. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying don't be in the physical. It's saying like don't only have that awareness to discern between truth and reality. Don't get caught inside illusion. Always have discernment. You know what I'm saying? And then the other lesson is the fact that as you unify with your spiritual awareness, you will be able to properly judge yourself, judge your own heart, and judge your own intentions, as well as give birth to your higher self, which could overcome the ego. You see what I'm saying? And then also another lesson is the fact that in order for your higher self to overcome your ego, you must always be in tune with divine willpower. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be trying to act off your own individual will, because at that point you're not being the higher self. You're actually not seeing the truth, and you're kind of acting out of ego, and now your ego is going to beat your higher self. You're going to fall to ego. But when you're acting out of divine willpower, right, you're going to overcome your ego every time. You see what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it for this video, bro. I mean, I said everything I gotta say, bro. You know what I'm saying? I love you. Oh, drop a like and subscribe. Check out my links down below. I love you. Catch my next video. Peace out.